Admit all.
What the
Guys, check it out. You can see my classroom now on Zoom. Very cool.
Wow, you have a classroom.
That's Brendan Freeman?
It's showing you just my face.
That's Corey. Yeah, I'm perfect.
Yeah, can you see Ian in there?
Yep.
Boy, ugly.
Oh, I can actually like zoom in and stuff. Or should be able to. I
Zoom in to Corey.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Look at there. June. Yeah. Look, there's Ian. Let's zoom in on Troy. I'm just having fun. There's no need to see that. You can actually mark people physically present here today. Ian is physically present. Corey is physically present. I don't guess it'll make a difference, but what? Oh, really? It looks like 8 minutes. Virtually present. Brendan is virtually present. Hayward is virtually present. Troy is physically present. Eli is not present at all at the moment. Nate is virtually present. Boy, it's gotten complicated. Virtually present. Okay, the other person we don't have at the moment is Eli. Close my door. Oh, hey, I made brownies because we had 2 birthdays. You guys want some brownies? It was Corey's birthday. They're all yeah. And it was also Chip's birthday, which he's not with us presently. But brownies. Brownies. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of like a learning curve, trying to figure out like multiple screens and how to share everything and make sure everybody's seeing the right stuff, but we're going to figure it out. Oh, like from Allegro, the other building? Some classrooms still have those desks, but clearly not me. I prefer the other ones. Okay, so first of all, folks, let's do this. Those of you who are on Zoom, I want to share my screen with you and tell me what you're seeing.
I see.
Wait a minute, I'm not sharing it yet. Oh, you know what? I think I can figure this out.
I see canvas.
Perfect. That is exactly what I was hoping that you would see.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, that makes life kind of easy for me. All right. So the first thing we're going to do today is a new vocabulary unit. Did I publish this already?
Oh my God.
You know, it's kind of like a pain. Can I like do this? Yes. Okay. Oh wait, this is not you. Wrong class. Courses, McClellan. Here we go. I like the easiest thing to remember. Yeah, okay, I did publish it. Good. Good for me. So you should see this, and you should see it if you open your own canvas. We're going to go over the words together, and then I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to fill in the blanks. Oh, I think this is Eli trying to join.
Others want to die, take a chance that I feel. Pilgrimage. Journey, especially made to some skill.
Where is he? There he is. Virtually present.
Religious or spiritual devotion, known or taught.
Miss McClellan.
Yeah.
So I already told Miss Kelly this, but I have to tell every teacher that I have today. So I cannot get on Canvas right now. It lost my account, and she's trying to find my password and username for me.
Super weird. Okay.
So I have to tell every teacher that right now because I can't get on it.
Okay. Well, we'll be okay for a little bit. I mean, you're not going to be able to do this, the fill in the blank, but paying attention should be kind of okay. Okay, so I'm actually just going to like sit here for a moment, pretend I'm part of the class. We're going to go over the words together, and then I'm going to let y'all do the fill in the blank on your own. And it's not an assignment. You're not getting graded for doing the fill in the blank, but this is for you to study with, because probably when we have a quiz, which will be on Friday, a lot of these sentences will be the same. So that is for your benefit. Troy is joining virtually and in person. Okay, so our first word is pilgrimage, which is a journey, especially a long one, made to some sacred place as an act of religious or spiritual devotion. Most people these days don't really go on pilgrimages anymore, but it can even be like kind of a hyperbole to say that you're going on a pilgrimage. Like some people say, oh, I take a pilgrimage to Disney World every year because they love it so much. And I get that. The second one is renowned, which means known or talked about by many people, famous, like a renowned actor or renowned author. Number 3 is sundry, which means of various kinds. Number 4 is befall, which means to happen, like if something befalls you, it has happened to you, especially due to fate. Number 5 is devout, having or showing deep religious feeling or commitment. You'd probably need to be devout in order to go on an actual pilgrimage. Number 6 is hasten, which means to hurry or to move hurriedly. Unseemly is number 7, which means not proper or appropriate. Like something can have unseemly humor, or like that was an unseemly thing to say. Number 8 is absolve, which is to set free from blame, guilt, or responsibility. Number 9 is threadbare, which means becoming thin and tattered with age. Like you might have an old blanket that has become threadbare. And number 10 is malady, which is a disease or ailment. You have a particular malady. We don't really say malady that much anymore. You can't find this. It's on, it's the first thing on this week's module for Canvas. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to work on this, and then we're going to go over them. It's one answer per question. Some of the sentences might be a little like outdated because I wrote them 1 or 2 years ago, but it'll be fine. The words will still fit. It just might not be super topical and relevant. It's the first thing
Okay,
on
Mr. Washington,
full canvas.
trying to find my password.
Why can I not? Being weird. Oh. Well, why is that over here now? That's really annoying.
Where can we find this assignment?
This is on Canvas. It's the first thing on this week's module. Weird. What's up? How do I feel about what? Oh, you know, I feel like she should stop sharing her opinion all the time. Yeah. Yeah. People have like really attacked her on Twitter, and I get why. It's just every time people attack her, she kind of doubles down on her opinion. And I'm like, you're just like, your opinion's not that important. You need to stop sharing it all the time. I still love Harry Potter, but I think she needs to just kind of stop. Yeah.
It was about two choices. The lead favorite is a female girl.
Mm-hmm.
And slavery for that. It was a court case about
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The author. It's pretty close, you know. Yeah, afterwards. Yeah, the author was, you know.
Yeah.
Where do we turn this in when we're done?
So you don't actually have to turn this in because it's really for you to study because we're going to have a quiz on Friday. Okay. So we're going to go over it together. Does anybody need more time? We all feel pretty good? Okay, then let's go over it in that case. Okay, number 1, the old gentleman wrote a letter leaving all his possessions to his butler in the instance that any kind of fatal misfortune should blank him. What would be the answer there?
Befall.
Befall.
That is correct. Good guys. Very good. Okay, number 2, she went to confession hoping that the priest would blank her of all her sins.
Absolve.
Absolve. Correct. Number 3, though she spent weeks feeling nauseous, dizzy, and exhausted, her exact blank was never diagnosed.
Malady.
Malady, that's right. Number 4, this one makes me sad because this didn't happen this year. My sister and I make a blank to Raleigh, North Carolina every year for a bluegrass festival where lots of big names perform and many smaller bands are discovered.
Pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage, that is correct. Like I said, you can use it kind of like in an exaggerated way. Do we actually go on a pilgrimage? Do we worship bluegrass? Probably not, but it's just it's like a little bit of a hyperbole.
So that one is what?
That one is pilgrimage. Number 4. Number 5, and this one's not applicable anymore either. Since we only have 2 minutes between classes this year, it's important for students to blank to their next class so they're not counted tardy.
Hasten.
Hasten to your next class. Number 6, since we had no idea what the weather would do during our trip, we all packed blank items of clothing that would be easy to layer.
Sunday.
Sundry, yes.
Sundry, yeah. Man, I can't read.
That's fine. Number 7, he hated to get rid of his old jean jacket, but it was getting so blank that it didn't really keep him warm at all anymore.
Red Bear.
Red Bear, very good, Hayward. Number 8, when J.K. Rowling liked my tweet about her new book, I felt honored to have been noticed as a blank figure. What would that one be? Such a blank public figure.
Renowned.
Renowned, yes, that's right. And yes, I do have mixed feelings on her these days. Troy and I were just talking about that. Number 9, everyone found it blank that the woman remarried only 2 days after her divorce had been finalized.
Unseemly.
Unseemly. It's just a little unseemly. Maybe it's fine, but it seems a little gross. Okay, number 10. Though he grew up going to church every Sunday, he is no longer as blank as he once was, and now only attends on Easter and Christmas.
Devout.
Devout, yes. Very good. Okay, so y'all are going to keep your answers for that and use it to study. We're going to have a quiz on Friday, but we will also go back over it on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Okay, for just a second, I'm stop sharing. No, stop. Go away. Well, now it's just showing me. What happened to the whole class? 1 second. It's one of these things, you know, just trying to figure it all out. Ugh, come on. All right, I don't know what I'm doing. Ooh, I definitely don't know what I'm doing.
We can still sign the petition.
Oh, I support it. I support the petition. Ooh. Okay, I knew this was gonna be an effort to try to figure everything out. I'm not as good at technology as many people are. Okay, okay, Canvas, leave me alone. Ooh, I can't even like close it out. Okay. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to talk about before we move on, we're going to do some notes today. But I wanted to talk about two things, actually. One really important thing. If you have not registered to vote and you will be 18 before November 3rd, today is the last day you can register to vote. You should do it. In fact, register to vote, South Carolina. Just gonna like give you guys a little link. Ask me what? Oh, it's personal, but I also think you could probably figure it out. Here, I'm gonna just pop this little thing in the chat. So if you want to register to vote, oh, I don't know how I just sent that to only Hayward. That was weird. Sorry, Hayward. That's for everyone. There we go. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about other than registering to vote is the Beowulf scene rewrite. I did not grade it because as I was looking at them, most of them were not very good. Hang on. Sorry. Hayward, I don't know why I only sent that to you at first. I don't even know how that happened. I'm glad you registered to vote though. I didn't mean to send that to you privately. Most of them were not very good, and I think that probably what happened is that I didn't explain it super well, which is totally my fault. But because of that, I have opened it back up. I've opened that assignment back up, and even though the due date still technically says like September 25th or whatever, you can submit stuff until this coming Friday. So I just wanted to like go over it a little bit of like what the expectation was, and to also show you a lot of people did not put it in script format, and I tried to kind of explain that a little bit, but I don't think I did a very good job. So if you look again, sorry, I'm going to share my screen yet again. I'm just going to share. No, I guess this makes sense. Let me drag Canvas back over here if I can. Yeah. This is kind of what script format should look like. And this is not from Beowulf. Obviously, Beowulf does not have characters named Michelle, Jim, and Tracy. But this was just kind of an example of what it should look like with each one. And you don't necessarily have to do it centered like this, but you know, it should be clear who's saying which line. There are some stage directions, like where it says Jim waits the answer, tries to be encouraging, hand still raised, that kind of thing. And I know this was kind of a difficult assignment because of the fact that not a lot of the scenes in Beowulf have that much dialogue. But that's kind of where you get to be creative. Where there is not dialogue happening, there's still action. And so you can kind of create your own dialogue to happen in those action scenes. Now, obviously, there's a couple of scenes that are easier to do because they do have a lot of dialogue, like when we first meet Beowulf and he does his boast. There's another, I think maybe Grendel's mother scene has some good dialogue in it. So you could use one of those easier ones, and just put it in your own words, kind of include the, like any stage directions or narration that you would need. But then also you could take one that doesn't have any dialogue and create the dialogue. So like I said, I'm gonna leave this assignment open until Friday. If you want to resubmit, rework what you already did, or if you didn't turn it in the first place, this is kind of a benefit to you because it means that you don't have to have a 0. You turn something in or turn in a new submission and I'll grade it after Friday. But I will try to make sure that it goes on your progress reports, which are coming out next Monday. Very exciting. Okay, now the last thing that we have for today, I said last like it was gonna be over in 5 seconds, but it's notes, and that is actually kind of long. And I don't actually think I need to be sitting here anymore for it. I'm gonna go back over to my desk. Oh, now I kind of understand why I wanted to sit over there. Can't find my mouse, can't see the screen. This is complicated, guys. All of these multiple things that we're having to do now. Okay, so this is where the notes are, since I'm still sharing for the moment. Canterbury Tales, yes. Yes, but I have to make you an e-hall pass. We're back on the e-hall pass. One quick second. Troy, green, restroom. I'm not gonna give a reason. I don't need to know. All right, Troy, you can go. Your notes are this last thing, Canterbury Tales keynote. You can keep your own notes on this. We have talked about how to take good notes. I'm trying to think of like what test or quiz will look like, but I don't know today. The door is complicated. It's fine. Okay, so let me open up. Maybe I closed it. I feel more disorganized today than I ever am because I'm just trying to do like 20 things. Fairy tales, here we go. Okay, let's bring this over here. And we can just do it this way. Okay. Ooh, and it's on mine too, so that's nice. Okay. So what we're going to talk about are the Middle Ages and the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, which we're only going to be reading part of it. We're actually only reading the prologue because the whole thing is actually super duper long. It tells like over 30 stories, I think. And we just don't have time for all that. We have other things to get to. But the prologue kind of gives you an overview of what's happening in the whole thing. So it's one of the most famous and respected pieces of literature to come out of the Middle Ages. And we'll talk about why. So, Geoffrey Chaucer he lived from like around 1343 to 1400. That's an estimate. We don't actually know. But he was a dominant literary figure in the 14th century and was kind of considered the father of English literature. I feel like they say that about a lot of people, but Geoffrey Chaucer is one of the people they say that about. He had a lot of life experiences because he was the child of a wealthy wine merchant. So like he's starting out pretty good in life if his parents are wealthy. Then he was a page in a royal household. And a page is sort of like an errand boy, but like with a higher status than that. Like you get trained to be a page, and it's like it's an honor if you can be a page in a royal household. He spoke French, Latin, and Italian, so very educated guy. He was a soldier and a diplomat. He was a member of parliament. And I kind of reinforced that. Public servant in Kent. He was a justice of the peace, a soldier, a controller of customs, and a forest official, whatever that is. Sounds kind of like a park ranger, but I don't know. He did a lot of stuff, but despite his background of being like wealthy and educated, multilingual, being a public servant is not like a fancy job for him to have. Anybody ever seen the movie The Knight's Tale? A Knight's Tale? Starring Heath
Yes.
Ledger? Yes. Well, number one, it's such a good movie. But Chaucer plays a big role in that. And I think that the portrayal of him is really fun. The guy that was Vision in the Marvel movies plays him. Okay, so we're looking at the Anglo-Norman period, which that's not all of the Middle Ages. That's just kind of like the early Middle Ages. But it happened when the Norman conquest of Britain took place on October 14th, 1066. You don't have to specifically remember that, but 1066 is a big year. Like literally, it's one of the only dates in history that I know because it's a clear line of demarcation between Old English and Middle English. Like 1066, Old English is out, Middle English is in. And yeah, it was probably actually more of a gradual transition than that, but that's the year that this big change was made. The majority of the population in England spoke English, but the clergy and rulers spoke French. I don't know if you know much about the Norman conquest, and this is not primarily a history class, but Normans are French. They're from Normandy. So once they win, there's a lot of French influence, particularly on the language. And so like clergy and rulers and aristocrats and stuff, they all kind of spoke French. And because of that, our language changes a good bit. And tomorrow you guys might remember when we listened to some Old English, some Middle English, and we kind of know what Shakespeare sounds like, which is early modern English. But we're going to listen tomorrow to a little bit of Middle English so that you can see sort of the difference. Old English sounded so like heavy and guttural. It sounded almost like Gaelic or something. And now this is changing to be a lot softer because of this French influence. But also because of that, English begins to become standardized. Not everybody spoke it. I feel like these days, nearly everybody does speak English, but this is kind of when it definitely started to expand into the world a good bit more. Alliteration and caesura, which we learned about with Beowulf, are replaced with rhyme and meter, iambic pentameter, and rhymed couplet, all things that we're familiar with from Shakespeare. So you can kind of see like this is where it starts, and once Shakespeare comes around, we're still using these things. The French culture definitely influenced the Anglo-Saxon mindset, and they kind of started coming up with all of these themes and story ideas that continued, like Arthurian legend, which we know what that is, the legend of King Arthur. And if you're unfamiliar, you should watch The Sword and the Stone on Disney Plus. It's very good. and courtly love, which is sort of a weird idea to us now. But when you think about like medieval knights, like riding and jousting and stuff, they're a lot of times they're like trying to win the favor of a lady. And that's kind of what that is. It's like this very chivalrous idea of love. We don't really, I'm not saying that like there's no such thing as chivalry anymore, but like it's not like it was. Like people are not fighting to the death for the hand of a woman, you know. But that was a big thing back then. This was also when feudalism was introduced to England, so that's obviously a big change. And there's also a strong influence of the church. The church is super important during this time period. We're like kind of expanding what religions there are. But the Church of England is really, really strong, and it's a really strong influence on the culture. So also, this is when English society was evolving from medievalism to modernism. And it's kind of weird to say modernism, I guess, because it's not terribly modern. We're still talking about like the year 1500 at the most, or at the latest. But when we have this idea, I think we all kind of have an idea of what medievalism looks like, and we're moving out of that now. This was also an age of skepticism and satire. While the church had a really strong influence, faith and authority were kind of losing hold on the people, especially common people. Like church is definitely something that sort of the upper class are participating in, and there's definitely like not the same separation of church and state that we see here nowadays. The church was very much involved in the political spectrum of things. And then this might be kind of relevant and relatable. The Black Plague struck 3 times in the 14th century. I feel like we have a plague of our own. I have seen a lot of posts online and stuff kind of comparing coronavirus to the Black Plague, and like how long the Black Plague lasted and how often it came up again. And I mean, it's a different virus, so there's no way to know what would happen, but it is an interesting parallel, especially because social structure became unstable, a lot in part to the Black Plague. And I feel like our social structure has like become a little bit more unstable since all of this started. Also, the church was full of abuse, which is probably one reason why not everybody was really like buying into the church. Popes, friars, and summoners were always blackmailing people, so that's cool. The 100 Years' War ended in 1453, and then Henry V brought peace and stability in 1465. So overall, we're kind of looking at like 1066 to about 1500 for the Middle Ages. So getting a little bit more specifically into Geoffrey Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales, he wrote this about 1385, and he planned a lot more tales, but he didn't complete all of the 100. He had planned 120, but didn't complete them all before his death. I don't know how many there are now. It's not 120, but it's still a lot. I can't imagine this thing being that long. But the basic sort of idea of the Canterbury Tales is that all of these pilgrims are traveling, bless you, they're traveling to make a pilgrimage, actually, and we'll learn more about that. But they're all kind of traveling together, and they each tell their own stories. So we learn about like all these characters and all these different like types, and it's full of people of all classes because he was wanting to give us a glimpse of English society at the time. So he kind of went against tradition by writing in Middle English rather than French. Like I said, French was very like aristocratic, clergy, rulers, royalty, everybody spoke French. And I mean, he had worked in palaces before, he was very educated, but he wrote in Middle English instead. And that's one of the reasons that he's actually considered the father of the English language, because he went against the norm and chose to write in the language of the people. He wanted common people to be able to read his stuff. So that's pretty cool. So you'll see this triangle here that's kind of giving you an idea of what the hierarchy of the class structure looked like. And also pretty much all of these, actually all of these examples are characters from the Canterbury Tales. So you can see he's got characters from all social classes. In the nobility and ruling class, you've got the knight and the squire, and then you have the clergy, who's just below that, and they're characters of a monk, a friar, a prioress, a parson, a summoner, and a pardoner. We don't even have all those like jobs these days. I don't really know what a prioress is. I can look it up, but I haven't. And then you have middle class, where that would be, there's a merchant, there's a doctor, there's a student.
Class.
And then the lower class, peasants, like a miller, a plowman, a skipper. Those are all just the working people. Okay, so another couple of things to look at here. I mentioned this a minute ago. Oh, I didn't mean that to go. The code of chivalry. This is the code that knights are supposed to live by. And how they're supposed to behave. A knight must be true to his God and a defender of the faith. So still you can see that like strong influence of the church. He should be true and loyal to his lord and king, true to his lady if he happens to already have one, and if not, he's probably trying to win one. Humble and modest in daily actions, and brave and fierce in war and adversity. So one reason to look at this code of chivalry is to see, like, knights are really important during this time, and to see what that would look like. The code of chivalry is reflected in a lot of literature from around then. But also you can kind of see and compare the differences in what was like the qualities that were valued, because we already know what the Anglo-Saxon values were, and now that we've moved into the Middle Ages, are some of those qualities still the same? Yes. Are all of them? No. For instance, if you're looking at this code of chivalry, true and loyal to his lord and king, that's definitely a carryover from the Anglo-Saxon era. Like, that was one of the things that we talked about. One of the things that Beowulf kind of embodied, and then Wiglaf did too, because he was very loyal to Beowulf, who was his lord and king. But then something that's kind of different is that a knight should be humble and modest in daily actions. And we never really got that from Beowulf. Like, humility and modesty weren't really high on the list for them. Now, it does say you should still be brave and fierce in war and adversity, but Beowulf was just kind of like on all the time. Like, he was always ready to brag. He was always ready to like go into action. And this is kind of saying that's appropriate behavior for war or for fighting, but on a day-to-day basis, let's tone things down a little bit. Let's try to be humble. Then you had the code of the clergy, which that's the church. And you can probably see some of the qualities that people respected, valued here too. A member of the clergy has to be chaste and pure, which chaste really just means pure, innocent, like you're not doing anything wrong. They need to be devoted to God. They need to obey God and biblical law. They need to take vows of poverty. That's another thing that's really different from Anglo-Saxon beliefs, obviously, because they were all like, ooh, treasure, let's go get treasure. And now this is saying people who are really high up in the social status of things need to take vows of poverty. They need to promise to not be rich. And then the fact that they believe they achieve heavenly reward through earthly denial, which basically means like if I don't engage in a lot of like materialism, then I'll be rewarded with lots of things in heaven. Which I think still a lot of people kind of sort of believe that. So these next two slides is still sort of intended to show you like the qualities that they value and the qualities that they don't value in the Middle Ages, because they place a big influence on the 7 deadly sins. You may have heard of these before because they are biblical, but these were like the 7 things that you are not supposed to engage in. Gluttony, and that doesn't have to be just food. That can be like overindulging in anything, basically. Avarice or greed, like hoarding things to yourself. Sloth, I feel that one. Lust, vanity, pride, and anger. So those are the things that they kind of try to shun. On the other hand, there are the moral virtues, things that they try to live by. Moderation, so that lack of excess, that's like the opposite of gluttony. Generosity, diligence, being careful with your work. Love, modesty, humility, and forgiveness. So those are kind of all the big qualities that people are trying to live by. Ooh, it is very nearly time to go. Let me do like one more. We're nearly done, but I think after one more, we'll probably have to call it quits. Some themes that we are going to see pop up in Chaucer's works time and again are satire of the aristocratic hero figure. So while a lot of people might have been writing about like aristocratic heroes, Chaucer's kind of making fun of them. The comic revelation of the foibles of love, which foibles is a really funny word, but basically that means like all the pitfalls and all the things that can go wrong with love and romance. Chaucer's kind of trying to shine a comedic spotlight on that, which of course is easy to do. Models of marriage relationships, what marriage should look like, and then the ideals of love and sacrifice, which that can also play back into that courtly love idea. So we're gonna have to stop. We only have like 4 more slides, but we'll just start those like first thing tomorrow. Let me, geez, I can't. I'm just trying to stop sharing my screen, but I can't find my mouse. It's really annoying. Oh, there it is. There it is. Stop. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so like I said, we will pick this up tomorrow. If you were not happy with the way that your Beowulf scene rewrite went, obviously I haven't graded it yet, but you have another few days to try to get that in and kind of stick to the idea a little bit more. And if you have any questions about that, obviously just email me and we can figure it out. Any questions today before we go?
No, ma'am.
All right, fantastic. Okay. All right, well, I will see you guys tomorrow then.